Hello friends, welcome to CH Threading. Now we are watching a final part of the subseries 1, joining a thread. So joining a thread means wait for child thread to finish. Child thread. So the UI thread is spanning one more thread T1. We saw that in the previous video. So thread T1 is a child of the parent thread which is spanning it. The parent thread is UI thread and the child thread is T1. So wait is for child thread to finish, or wait for parent thread waiting for child thread to finish. So that's where, if that's the case, we can go for joining. So these are all the stuff we learned in the previous 3 parts. You can call join method on your thread. That means if you have thread instance, you can call join method. For example, let us say main thread is calling join method on the child thread. Main thread means here we can say UI thread. UI thread is calling join method on child. The main thread, if it finished the work before child, it waits for child to complete. So main thread or UI thread is calling the join method on child. That means the call, let's say this is a child, or we already created T1, right? We will state so that you will easily understand. T1.join, that's how I am calling. So when I make T1.join, the main UI thread will wait for child thread to finish. But you see, the purpose of threading is gone here. If main thread is blocked like this, it's waiting for T1 to finish, right? If it is waiting for T1 to finish, then it won't process any UI interaction. But anyhow, it will help us to learn what is the use of join method. So the main thread is blocked on the join. Whoever is calling that thread is blocked on the join and waits to child to come out. Let's state UI thread. This is UI thread, and let's state this is the timing diagram, time t. So UI thread spanned a child thread. Or we can call this as T1. We already named it like this, T1. And child thread is going on, and main thread, let's say after this there is only one instruction set. There are 4 instructions set in main thread. We can state like that. And here the function of main is finished. And the child thread have multiple instruction. So what happens if you place T1.join as part of this statement? The UI thread, the calling thread, will wait. Why? Because here we are going to call T1.join. So the thread will not go to next statement and quits the function, but instead it will stay on this function forever till the child finishes and comes out. That means you can see this as a race condition. So both are running, and when you make a call to T1.join on UI thread, we are asking UI thread, okay, you finished your task, you wait and join with the child thread and come out. So once child finish, they both, main as well as child, will both come out of the routine. So that's what join means. So here in the generate numbers, threaded numbers, we will make some modification. This is what our previous code as part of part 3. We created a ThreadStart, then we created a thread, then we started the thread, and we saw how task was running in a separate thread, or task was running in thread T1, which is separate from the UI thread. Now what we will do, we will introduce some debug.write line here. Before starting the T1 thread, we will say UI thread click starts child, and after this T1.start, we will put UI thread click ends. This is the UI thread click, right? And this is the procedure, and it ends. Before the closing bracket, we are putting this statement. So at present, we are commenting it. First time we will comment it and see what happens. Then we will uncomment this and see what happens. Once you uncomment, the UI thread get blocked here. Since UI thread get blocked here, it won't process any event. But at the same time, we can learn that it waits for the child to complete on this particular line. So once the child thread completes, then only you will see UI thread click ends. I mean that message you will see once all random number generation is done. Alright, now we will go to the demo. So here we are starting the thread, and we will introduce our extra debug print line. So simply before starting the thread, we are sandwiching this thread.start between two write line statement. Now we will click on generate random numbers. And if you see, UI thread click starts child, that get printed. This statement is executed. Then we are starting the thread, that means we are starting the task on a separate thread. This statement executes, and the UI thread doesn't wait for the thread start and all. So it asks to run the task in a separate thread, then control moves to the next line and prints UI thread click ends, and it quits the function. Also here if you see starting the thread, then here you will be seeing the thread related task, I mean T1 thread related task. Then here you will be seeing the T1 thread ends. So that's the message here. This task end is from different routine in the sense in the T1 task. Right now it's evident that UI thread doesn't wait for T1, right? Now if I introduce T1.join, once again we are going back to non-threaded behavior, but it will help us to study what is the use of join method. Here we are using the join method in a wrong way, but still you will understand what happens. So now I am generating the random numbers. And this time if you see, main thread won't quit and it will wait for child to finish. And if you see, task ends and task thread quits, and after that you are seeing UI thread click ends. That means the UI thread is waiting on this line. So task thread is printing all this, it is ending the task, and you also see the thread 3390, that is the T1 thread, and this is the number given by the system, and that quits with a code 0. That means that's a normal quit, proper quit. And after that, once that thread finishes, T1 joins and prints this line, and you are seeing that here. Let me comment this because it's a wrong piece of code. The purpose of threading is gone here, and you should not use a T1.join like this. It will be useful in other situation if there are multiple threads, and that's not UI thread. Let's say that will be T1, T2, T3, like that. There are other thread, and in that, when two thread need to complete to start a new thread T1 and to start a new thread T3, and thread T3 depends on T1 and T2. Both need to complete some task. In that case, T3 can wait on T1 and T2 using T1.join, T2.join. So that will be a valid example here. Anyhow, it helped you to learn how the UI thread waits for the child thread to finish its operation, then it resumes after the child thread quits. That's all here in this video. Thank you for watching. Bye.